All right, back on the Young Turks, America's Future Not Conference, and now we're going to talk to David Pakman. He is the host of Midweek Politics. It's on syndicated in 90 stations across the country, and the website is midweekpolitics.com. First, tell us what the show's about, David.
It's political talk. We've got everybody from, actual reputable politicians all the way to racists that come on and tell me I'm a Jew liar. I mean, that's a true story.
Okay, that sounds fun. We're going to come back to that. And what are the stations that you're on?
It's a mix. We're on everything from, if you have Comcast in Philadelphia, you get the TV version of our show, but at the same time, if you're in Clay, West Virginia, which is not a place I've ever been to, but it sounds interesting, you get the radio version. So we're on a ton of conservative towns.
That's interesting. So, how do you get on there? How do you get
Well,
on?
usually there's one progressive public radio station.
Right.
And that's usually the station we're on. So you can imagine the amount of bad emails we get compared to, hey, I love your show, is like 10 to 1.
Is it the Amy Goodman model? Because she got on everywhere she possibly could,
right,
and didn't care what it was, and she just got on there, and then she became this huge phenomenon in a lot of ways. Is it the same thing, or is it a little different?
I guess it's similar in some ways. I mean, we've gotten kicked off of some stations for being too liberal, so I don't know how often. I'm sure it's happened to her too, but I don't know that the stations in the more conservative areas are picking her up. Maybe they are, I don't know. But I've gotten emails saying we got too many complaints because you said they should be handing out fetus dolls in schools, and people here actually think they should, so we can't air your show anymore. And I say, you know what? Honestly, sometimes I start kind of worrying about it, and I tell my producer, maybe we're doing something wrong, and they always have to talk me down and say, no, because if you were saying that they should be handing out those fetus dolls, the other 90% of stations are going to drop us.
Yeah, I can't believe you're against fetus dolls. I'm really disillusioned by that, but okay. I was thinking of dropping you in the middle of the interview. All right, by the way, we did that story too. For the record, I'm also against fetus dolls.
So honestly, I'm almost embarrassed to say this, sometimes I'll accidentally email a station that is actually a Christian ministry or something like that. And sometimes they'll actually audition my show.
Are they the ones that called you a Jew liar or no?
They weren't, no. We can get to that. And I'll get emails sometimes saying, you know what, I don't think that this program is going to work for us because we like shows that are going to teach the Bible verse by verse. Mm-hmm. And I say, I can't even believe that they're being this nice to me because I'm talking about, I'm having a Christian homeschooler on and saying, does it make sense to have people learning a curriculum based on the story of Jesus, Mm-hmm. So the fact that I don't get more angry emails from those Christian stations is surprising.
Right. But otherwise, they evaluate your program, and you send them a tape, and if they like it, they put it on.
Yeah, I try not to send tapes. Some ask for it. I say, click this link. But some of them are actually, they're not up to date on internet.
Right,
but yeah, if they like it, they start airing it. Same thing with the TV stations. We're on a handful of regular commercial radio stations too. Obviously, those have a lot more listeners. But the public radio stations are how we started.
So how do you keep it self-sustaining? How do you make money from it?
The show has sponsors, and it also has a membership program similar to yours. It's cheaper, but we don't do as many hours a week. And we open up an archive to our entire 5-year period of shows. We've got extra interviews that don't make it onto the show, and people seem to like it. So that's kind of how we do it.
Okay, that's great. Now let's talk about how you're a Jew liar.
Well, that's honestly the main concern usually when I talk to someone. They say, "Are you a Jew liar or not?" That's the first question.
I'm highly amused by that. So who accused you of that?
Glenn Miller, former KKK or current KKK, who knows, in Missouri, who's running It's the Jews Stupid campaign.
I'm going to go with current KKK.
I think it's fair to say, right?
It's very,
close
enough.
He's run as a Democrat. He's run as a Republican. He didn't win as any of those, so now he's trying as an independent. He ran these ads. He came on the show. He said, Jews control everything. And I said, I'm Jewish. I feel like I control nothing. Where are the meetings? Where can I go? I would love to control stuff. He said, you do because you're on a show. You have the bully pulpit.
Well, he can start his own damn show.
Sure he could.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if he knows this. It's called being online. New media. Anyway.
Yeah. So I said, do you hate me personally? I get that you think Jews are evil. I get that you think he also doesn't like blacks and homosexuals, by the way.
Really? I didn't see that
surprising,
coming.
Yeah,
okay.
But Jews are the main. He said compared to all other problems, the Jew problem is the biggest. So I said, do you hate me personally, though? We've never met. I'm giving you the opportunity to speak here. He said, yes, I do. You're a Jew liar. He came up with the term kike-alike, which I had never heard before. I don't know if he coined it on my show, but it was, at least for me, an introduction to it.
But wait, and some people accuse me of being secretly Jewish and part of the Jewish media conspiracy. Wouldn't I be kike-alike? I mean, what
I
does
don't know
that
what it
mean?
means. I don't know what it means. I think it was that I said something he didn't like. I don't know. I asked a question, and he didn't like the framing of it. Imagine a KKK white supremacist telling me he doesn't like the framing of the interview. What can I tell you?
Okay, and so that's an interesting interview. I mean, that's an interview I'd like to check out because you want to see how crazy the guy is, right?
When I have people like him, Paul Cameron, Shirley Phelps Roper from Westboro Baptist Church, those are the interviews that get the most views, but they're also the ones where I start getting emails from stations saying, you've got to be really careful with these people because it can't seem like we're endorsing hate speech. And I get that, but to a certain extent, I've got to be able to interview people, right?
No, absolutely. We of course every show makes its own decisions on who to interview, right, and how to interview them, etc. But I think for other shows, if you want to interview those people, I don't see anything wrong with it as long as you give it the right context. It's not like you're bringing the KKK guy on and saying he's legitimate.
No,
he just called you a true liar.
I'm not putting on John Kerry and Glenn Miller and saying let's have a discussion about race relations. Right, I'm not doing that. And
there's no false equivalency that you get in the mainstream media.
That's right.
It's truth in labeling. Okay, this guy's a kook, and here's his kookiness.
And our regular audience, right, the people that are subscribing to our members' podcast, they get it. When I open up the interview by saying, who's a bigger problem, blacks or Jews? That's a question that the audience gets. Doesn't mean that I think this guy is doing something great.
I'm totally on your side. And I just coined a term for him. You know what he is? He's a kookalook. Okay. So, but that's interesting because then you're getting heat from, I guess, liberals. Because
it's only liberals. It's absolutely right.
Oh, is that right?
There was an internal discussion within a couple of the stations about whether this qualifies as hate speech or not, and whether that needs to be in some way regulated on the show. And some stations actually proposed amendments to their bylaws. This is how they run because they're non-for-profit. That would basically restrict my ability to do interviews like that. And I said, you really want to open up a slippery slope because you set these guidelines and says if people are offended, who? Right? Who is offended? It's completely subjective.
People are offended by almost every minute of my show. Somebody is, right? Maybe a lot of people.
People are offended by my producer's tattoo, which sometimes pops out on camera. I mean, you're opening up the door to...
People are offended that I'm Muslim. People are offended that I'm not Muslim. People are offended because they think I'm a Jew. People are offended because they think I'm not a Jew.
And it's amazing. You guys, we're on YouTube because we met a couple of years ago, and you said, hey, start putting some cameras, put the videos on YouTube. The amount of conservative comments that I get on YouTube and anti-Jewish comments on YouTube is incredible. It's compared to any other venue. I'm called a Zion Nazi, even though we don't even talk about Israel or Palestine on the show. It just doesn't even come up. It's incredible that
they found out what you were about.
I guess so.
Yeah, no, look, that's just the online world. There's great. We have a huge audience. Thank God, on YouTube, and 98% of them are awesome. And then you got those guys who love to be trolls and who love to. Oh yeah, Cenk's this and Anna's that.
But do you get bummed out about it?
Never. No, I don't care at all. I'm highly amused by it. For example, Anna apparently is also a Jewess, which we didn't know. But I didn't know there was such a thing as a Jewess, let alone that Anna, who's Armenian, was one.
Right. That's
so
right.
I think that's a crack up. And people do all these crazy things and accuse us and all the insults.
Yeah. Honestly, sometimes we end up getting the most regular listeners are people who dislike the show. I remember there's one email I got from a guy named Butch in Fort Bragg, California. Interesting place if you've never been there. And he says, I turned this on, I thought it was a reasonable show, and then I realized you were parroting liberal talking points and that your producer couldn't even put together a sentence barely. And from now on, I'm going to be monitoring the show to find out exactly what it is that you're talking about. That's great, right?
I'd send him an email.
He's a regular listener now.
Yeah, I'd send him an email saying, God bless. Okay, you know what? I need you to find 10 more conservatives to monitor the show.
Yeah, until it goes off the air. As he said, he'll monitor until it goes off the air, which hopefully will be a while.
Man, let's hope you keep him busy. All right, so everybody check out midweekpolitics.com, and obviously that's your website and the podcast. And then on YouTube,
YouTube.com/midweekpolitics, same thing.
Okay, the most logical thing I've ever heard. David Pakman, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
We really